Hey guys, this is the Keys True Sale again. Just heard about the new Blue Eyes structure deck that's coming out with some new cards and Blue Eyes support in it. So I thought I'd do a deck profile of my Blue Eyes deck, which I entered into a regionals in Exeter fairly recently, and it did fairly well in. Not quite as well as some of the tier decks, but that's to be only expected given it's a slow deck, and it hasn't quite had the support that's coming out yet. There's quite a few profiles I've seen online, and this one's completely different to all I've seen. Please let me know if you have seen one that's similar to this, so I can go check it out. Right, so to start off, we've got 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons. Main aim of the deck, really. So max it out. 2 White Stone of Legends. This is to be used to search out Blue Eyes from the deck, get it out the deck as quickly as possible. Because she's no good in there, you want her on the field. 1 Kaibaman. I feel that you'll see with later cards that actually you can get Blue Eyes out so quickly that you don't really need Kaibaman. It's a bit of a slower card, and also with the new support coming out, Kaibaman may be rendered useless. Prime Dragon, a very underestimated card in my opinion. 2 effects. 1 stops destruction, which is fairly handy, of monsters, and also stops burn damage, so a good counter for burn decks. 2 Rescue Rabbits. Rescue Rabbit in a dragon deck, a bit odd, but all will be revealed right now. 2 targets for Rabbit, Blackland Fire Dragon and Divine Dragon Ragnarok. Just easy level 4s. The sharp-eyed viewers may notice that there's only 2 of each. That is purely because there is no space to put 3. This is already a 46 card deck, and to add more cards would then reduce consistency. 2 Lord of D's, which some people may know. There is a fusion with Divine Dragon Ragnarok and Lord of D, which would be very handy in a deck like this. But again, I shall explain all with the extra deck. 1 Honest. This is mostly a light deck. Honest is a bit of a staple for light decks. Also with the bouncing, it does allow stall. Spirit Reaper. It's good to have a bit of stall for the first couple of turns of the game, just so you can load up the graveyard, because this is a Chaos Dragon based deck. So you can pull off your big combos. Gorz. If you do have a clear field and drop Gorz, you've then got 2 easy tributes for Blue Eyes. Plus you can then synchro with Gorz and your tuner Stone, and with the new tuners coming out in the structure deck, hopefully. Still don't know when that's going to be, or if the cards are confirmed. But that'll make synchroing easier. Red Eyes. Unfortunately, we can't run more than 1. Very useful for getting any dragon out the graveyard or out your hands. More special summons, more pluses. Brilliant combo. And also very, very easy to summon. Chaos Sorcerer. Chaos Sorcerer is a good card. Like bit like BLS, in that you only get 1 attack if you don't banish any smaller. It's an extra dark as well, so if you discard it with something like Prime Dragon, there's another dark to make BLS. BLS being the more helpful, being bigger. Last but certainly not least, BLS. If you do have the money to get one and want to build this deck, put it in over Chaos Sorcerer, because it's just more helpful, and it's more versatile, and you'll see why in the spell section. Spells. 3 Dragon's Mirrors. It's a much better card than Polymerization. Do not run Poly. Run Dragon's Mirror. It's much, much better. Because you're running a deck full of dragons, you might as well. Double trading. This deck runs 4 level 8 monsters. It's worth having more cards. There's a brilliant combo that I'll talk you through later, involving Blue Eyes in this card. That will come a bit later. Double MST. There's a third in the side deck. Not 3 in the main deck, because there's not spacing. You don't always need 3 in a tournament situation. Sometimes you draw too many, and it gets a bit cloggy in your hand. Dark World Dealings. Dark World Dealings combos well with Stone, in that you get to send it to the graveyard. And also you can send other things. You just have control over what's in your graveyard. A lot of people criticise this deck for not running Cards of Consonance. Cards of Consonance, you have to have Stone in your hand already. This is just a bit more useful because you get to see the card you draw first, and that could be a Stone. Rota, you have 1 target. It's a bit more deck thinning. Like I said already, it is a big deck. You need to thin this out very, very quickly. And this is just a card for it. If you've already drawn Kaibaman, you can then use it for prime material. If you find it's not useful, you can take it out for other things. You don't have to run it. Heavy Storm. We all like Heavy Storm. Back row can be an issue very early in the game, so it's good to be able to get rid of it. And also it's very good for getting a free Stardust. Monster Reborn. Gotta love Monster Reborn. You can fetch opponents' things and overlay with them or synchro with them, or you can get your own things back. And there's plenty of useful things to get back. Book of Moon. It's a personal choice really. I like Book of Moon. But again, if you want to take it out for something else, Fiendish Chain is always a good thing. Give it room to come out in that structure deck. It's worth thinking about it. You could potentially put it in for a 3rd MST or another Kaibaman or another Dark World Dealings or trading. Triple CVAC. Until that equipped dragon, that 1-star dragon comes out that gives Blue Eyes Piercing, Gachi and Zenmains are problems, along with things like Marshmallow and Spirit Reaper. This is just good to get XZs, big synchros, off the field quickly. Tiramisu is a problem for this deck. This deck does not like to have its things bounced back to it. Double Mirror Force. More for early on in the game, just to kind of protect the things you have out a little bit. Also, it's a good card and well worth running if you've got some spare. Single Bottomless. I only run 1 because I don't have space for another one. But if you don't want to run Book of Moon or something, I would advise putting a second in. As again, it's good early game, and also just to get rid of things like Christia and other agent stuff or Badolshi stuff or just whatever you want to get rid of really. Starlight Road, free Stardust. If you need to make that final push for game, sometimes heavying your own field, hoping your opponent doesn't respond with a Dark Bribe, and then activating your own Starlight Road is a good combo. It won't be a couple of games. The tournament I played, extra regionals I played recently. Champion's Vigilance. Champion's Vigilance is a little known card. It's essentially Solemn Judgment for large normal monsters. For you have a level 7 or higher normal, you control a level 7 or higher normal monster, you can negate summons, activations or spells or traps. It's just an extra Monster Reborn. This deck can, extra Solemn Judgment. This deck can support 4 Solemn Judgments, so don't be afraid to max it out. Solemn Judgment itself, early game you may not have Blue Eyes out, and so this is just a good, quick, I need to stop this happening. Say if they're making something big, or Freeze hurts. Be aware of gustos if you want to run this deck. Freeze hurts. Warning, much similar reasons as Judgment, because it's a good card. As most 2,000 life points isn't really that big a cost to negate a summon. You can also negate a Macrocosmos with this, because Macrocosmos does have a summoning effect with it. And last but not least, one Dark Bribe. Dark Bribe is a good card. I fired a second one. You'll see the side deck soon. In the next section. After the next section. It's just a good card to negate things. Extra deck now. We'll start with Exceeds. You've got 2 Maestroke the Symphony Djinn and 2 King Dragun Djinns. Maestroke is an impenetrable wall. It's also very quick for detaching your Ragnaroks and also your Blackland Fire Dragons. King Dragun Djinn combos beautifully with Blue Eyes. For those of you who don't know her very well, detach 1 Exceed material from this monster to summon a level 5 or higher Dragon type monster from your graveyard. It can also declare an attack this turn, and all effects are negated. It doesn't matter about the attack for Blue Eyes, but the fact that she already has no effect means that this card works beautifully. Also, she's the only one that can be destroyed by battle, the Dragon type monsters, which is okay, but with dragons, generally their attack is so big that it doesn't really matter. Right, synchros now. You've got 2 Ancient Fairy Dragons and 1 Stardust Dragon. Ancient Fairy, level 7s are very, very easy to go with. Prime material plus stone and you're there. And you also get the plus of Blue Eyes. Also, if you are going against a deck that relies on its field spell a lot, Ancient Fairy is the perfect cure for it. You just shoot their field spell, gain 1,000, can search your own field spell out. There is one in the side deck, so if you do wanted to do that, you could. Also, you could give up your battle phase and summon a level 4 or lower monster, which could be handy, I suppose. Also, there are other reasons for having these in here. Fusions now. They have 1 King Dragun. They have 1 because it's too expensive. It's about £10 because it's a very old card. King Dragun's very good. He's a combination of Lord of D and Divine Dragon Ragnarok. That's why they're in there, to make this card. You can special summon a Dragon type monster from your hands with his effect. And also, your opponent and you, no one can target Dragon type monsters while this card is face up on the field. So with prime material as well, you've got an invincible wall of dragons, which is a terrifying place to be, no matter who you are. And also, him and Djinn are dragons, so they can be used for other things, like I will show you soon. This is Dragonite Dracoquisti. Another reason really for having him in will be revealed in the side deck. He is quite useful one to go into against burn decks, as he reflects burn damage back at them. And he's a good target for Super Poly. For things like Shen. Shen can't negate Super Poly, so you just Super Poly their Shen with Ancient Fairy or Stardust, and you've got Dracoquisti. And at 3-2, that's not a bad place to stand. 3 5-headed dragons. I run 3 because 3 are now cheap. it's cheap. I have got the original Structure Deck 9 one as well, which is this one, and it's the one I tend to go into first. This deck, all out, it can drop 3. It's also just nice to have spares of things, just in case one gets lost or damaged. Also, if your opponent wants to read it, you can give them one that's not on the field. So yeah, there is the extra deck. And when the new Blue Eyes Synchro comes out, you can easily sacrifice one of these for it. So we've got side deck now. And starting off with monsters in the side deck. Dark Dragon. He's again a dragon. This deck supports it very easily. There's a continuous DD Crow and premature burial for your dragons. Very easy to thin out your deck, and it does have the basic part of the Chaos Dragon engine driving it. Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. Some of you may know and love this card, some of you may know and hate this card. Very good for getting rid of Exceeds. Level 8 light 3000 attack dragon. Not too dissimilar from some of the other things you will be running in this deck if you build this. I personally like this card because it does get rid of Exceeds. Its effect's very useful. If you were selling this card, I would advise maybe sacrifice one of the Blue Eyes for it, because you still got 2 in there. DD Crow, because it's DD Crow. Some opponents, like Mars for example, and possibly even some like Gustos or whatever else, you can side this in and keep their graveyard at bay, along with Dark Flare, and it's a cheap, easy dark in your graveyard, which is a plus. Reptilian Naga, more for humour over anything else. It's also good stall. Sorry. You've also got, when you're about to bring up Blue Eyes, if your opponent's has all their monsters in attack position and they have no attack points, you're laughing really, because they just can't defend themselves. And also, Naga's cute. Double Prohibition. Slightly underrated card now, I think. It is incredibly good. Game 2, you're going to have a good idea what they're using to combo off with. Spellbook, as an example, Priestess and Secrets, Spellbook and Secrets and High Priestess. Prohibition, they're going to waste every single resource they have to get rid of it. Which is a plus for you, really, because they're going to have less MST, so they're not trying to hit your Solemn Judgments and your Dark Bribes. Chaos Zone, Field Cell, you do remove from play with Dragon's Mirror and also BLS and Chaos Sorcerer and the Crow and just everything else. Most things removed from play, so you get pluses. And also, if you or your opponents play Macro or D-Fisher, you've got lots and lots of things you can then summon back your big beaters, because that's what this deck relies on, having Blue Eyes out. Third MST, like I promised, because there are some decks you do want 3. For example, Fire Fists. It might be useful to have 3 set MSTs, so when they try to activate Tenki, you can just MST it and they can't use it. Firstly, with Destruction, I don't run Dark Hole, because with Blue Eyes this is so much better because it's Raigeki. You don't lose your own monsters, it's just pluses. You can't attack with any Blue Eyes that turn, but if you get Blue Eyes back with Djinn, and then Queen Dragon Djinn, and then activate Burst Stream, they've lost all their monsters, you've got a clear path to attack with either just the 2/2 Queen Dragun Djinn or possibly other things as well. Super Poly, for fusing with, if you're against another dragon deck, fusing with their dragons to make your 5-headed, fusing with Shen to make Dragonite Drake or Quisti. Just the list continues on into the possibilities. Also, you could possibly side a few hero cards such as Escuridao and The Shining. Against the hero deck, there is space in the extra deck, and so that would be a useful thing to have. Give heroes a taste of their own medicine. One D Fisher. This deck isn't hurt horrendously with D Fisher if played in the right way, and you've got Chaos Zone already out. You can protect Chaos Zone. D Fisher's is a good thing to play. There are decks that are hurt more by it. Agents, Murmals, Madolshis, Gustos are all hurt by this card. Soul Drain. There is one card in the entire deck that activates in the graveyard, and that is Whitestone of Legend. Soul Drain is not going to hurt you that much. It's going to hurt your opponent more, potentially. If they're playing the deck that needs the graveyard to activate effects, it's an amazing play, and you've got the back row to keep it there. And also, if you then side in the Prohibitions and Prohibition MST and Heavy Store, they've got no real way of getting rid of it unless they use Dust Tornado. But not many people use that card, so you don't need to worry. Second Dark Bribe. There's not space in the main deck for 2, but you'll often side out things like Book of Moon and other things that haven't really come in handy for Dark Bribe. Macro. Again, more decks are hurt by macro than this one, for the same reasons as D Fisher. I won't spend too long on it. Torrential Tribute is a good card. Don't run Dark Hole, you may not have Burst Stream, and it's just a good all-round card. Now the next category will be, I'll talk you through some strategies of this deck. Yeah. This is a fairly average hand for this deck. As you can see, there's quite a few limited cards I only run 1 or 2 of, but that's all the fun. So first of all, we're going to go off with Summoning Rabbit, rather than using Dark World Dealings and risking drawing into our targets. Summon Rabbit, activate effect, remove from play, and get 2 Divine Dragon Ragnaroks. If it's the very first turn, there's no point entering the battle phase, so you might as well overlay into Queen Dragun Djinn. So you've got high ready now for trading. Next, we're going to activate Dark World Dealings. Draw, Lord of D. I'm going to discard Whitestone of Legend, getting you by Whitestone of Legend's effect 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to your hand, which is nice. Next, we activate Traded, ditching our lovely, lovely Blue Eyes. Draw MST and the lovely, lovely, lovely Prime Material Dragon. Always a nice thing to draw. So there's our 2 cards, MST and Prime Material. Next we're going to detach off of Queen Dragun Djinn to get our blue eyes back. And then set MST and Champion's Vigilance. Next turn we draw, get Solemn Warning. It's pretty standard that I see some of the warnings and the judgments as fairly early on in the game. I don't stack, this deck just thins itself out very quickly. It is surprisingly consistent. Next, go normal summon Lord of D, then activate Dragon's Mirror, banishing Ragnarok and Lord of D to get the one and only King Dragun, and it is the one and only. I only run one. Then with his effect, you get Prime Material, you set the warning, and obviously you've got the back row and the protection you need. This is one of the typical hand you could expect. This is how I generally play it. If you can see other things that you would possibly do with that sort of hand, please let me know. I'd be interested to hear your opinions. Thanks. So yeah, comments. Let me know what you guys think so I can edit my deck. I'm always happy for more suggestions. What you think could change, if you think Blue Eyes could potentially then conquer the meta again, take back her crown of Queen of the Meta, with these new support cards. Please let me know, and also if you have any suggestions and you just want to share, and please just let me know. Thank you for watching. I hope you find this informative, and yeah, see ya.